Superhero resurrections. They're either the greatest storytelling tool or the absolute bane of meaningful character development in comics. Starting our countdown at number 10 is Elektra Natchios. Introduced as a complex and formidable assassin with a past romantic connection to Matt Murdock, Elektra quickly became a fan favorite in the pages of Daredevil. Her skills, her enigmatic nature, and her tumultuous relationship with the Man Without Fear made her a standout character. However, her time was seemingly cut short in the iconic Daredevil number 181 in a brutal confrontation with Bullseye. Hired by the Kingpin, Bullseye ultimately turned on Elektra, leading to a shocking and emotionally resonant death, punctuated by the villain impaling her with her own essay. This event had a profound effect on Daredevil, shaping his character and leaving a lasting mark on readers. But as is often the case in the world of superheroes, death was not the final chapter for Elektra. She would eventually be resurrected, often through the machinations of the Hand, a shadowy and mystical ninja cult with a significant history in Daredevil's world. The methods of her resurrection varied across different storylines, sometimes involving dark rituals performed by the Hand and at other times linked to the intervention of the Chaste, the Hand's ancient adversaries. Elektra's return from the dead proved to be a pivotal moment in her character's evolution. Instead of simply reverting to her former role as an assassin, her brush with death and subsequent resurrection served as a catalyst for a significant transformation. She embarked on a path of redemption, grappling with her past and ultimately striving to become a hero. This journey eventually led to the remarkable event of her taking on the mantle of Daredevil, demonstrating a complete turn from her earlier morally ambiguous persona. While the resurrection of a popular character might seem like an expected move, Elektra's return wasn't just about bringing her back. It was instrumental in propelling her towards a heroic arc, showcasing how death can indeed be a turning point for meaningful character growth. Swinging in at number 9 is the Ultimate Universe's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Peter Parker. This version of the iconic hero, residing in Marvel's Earth 1610, offered a fresh and modern take on the classic Spider-Man mythos, resonating with a new generation of readers through his relatable struggles and heroic spirit. His young age and the high stakes of his world made his adventures particularly compelling, in a truly heartbreaking and impactful storyline culminating in Ultimate Spider-Man number 160. Peter Parker met a noble end. His sacrifice in a battle against the Green Goblin was a watershed moment in the Ultimate Universe, a universe known for its willingness to take risks with established characters. This heroic death resonated deeply with readers, emphasizing the weight of responsibility that Peter carried and the ultimate price he was willing to pay. The immediate aftermath of Peter's death was just as significant. His absence paved the way for the introduction of Miles Morales, a young man who would take up the mantle of Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. Miles' debut was a groundbreaking moment, bringing a fresh perspective and diversity to the Spider-Man legacy. He quickly became an iconic version of the character, beloved by fans for his own unique struggles and heroic journey. The creation of Miles Morales stands as a testament to the impact of Peter Parker's death in this alternate reality. However, Peter's story in the Ultimate Universe wasn't entirely finished. He was eventually resurrected, with the explanation tied to the same Oz formula that had initially granted him his powers. The specifics of his return were somewhat shrouded in mystery, with some suggesting it was a natural consequence of the Oz formula granting a form of regenerative immortality. Upon his return, Peter encountered Miles, and in a significant moment of character development, gave his blessing for Miles to continue his duties as Spider-Man. This act served to further solidify Miles' position and legacy, demonstrating that Peter's death wasn't just an ending, but a crucial step in the evolution of the Spider-Man mythos within the Ultimate Universe. Even though the Ultimate Universe eventually faced its own end, with Miles transitioning to the main Marvel 616 continuity, Peter's death and subsequent resurrection played a vital role in bringing this now iconic version of Spider-Man to the forefront. Crashing into our number 8 spot is Piotr Rasputin, better known as Colossus, the powerhouse of the X-Men. With his ability to transform his entire body into organic steel, Colossus was a formidable force for mutant rights and often displayed immense selflessness in his actions. During the devastating Legacy virus storyline, which plagued mutant kind, Colossus made the ultimate sacrifice in Uncanny X-Men number 390. When a cure was discovered that would only be released upon the death of the first user, Colossus bravely injected himself, knowing it would mean his own demise but would save countless mutant lives. This act of profound nobility was widely recognized as one of the X-Men's most honorable moments, and fans mourned the loss of the gentle giant. However, Colossus' story didn't end there. In a surprise surprising turn of events in Astonishing X-Men number 4, he was revealed to be alive, his resurrection orchestrated by the alien known as Ord. Ord had stolen Colossus's body after his death and revived him for experimentation, seeking to develop a cure for the mutant X gene. This unexpected resurrection turned what was perceived as a definitive and heroic death into a new and compelling chapter for Colossus. His subsequent rescue by his teammates and the exploration of the trauma he endured during his captivity allowed for further development of his character and his relationships within the X-Men. The return of Colossus was largely welcomed by fans, demonstrating that even the most honorable sacrifices might not be the ultimate end in the ever-evolving narratives of superhero comics. His resurrection provided new storylines without diminishing the impact of his initial heroic demise. Cruising into our number 7 spot is Jason Todd, the second Robin. His tenure as Batman's sidekick was marked by a rebellious streak and ultimately ended in tragedy in the infamous A Death in the Family storyline. In a controversial move, DC Comics even held a fan vote to determine Jason's fate, and the outcome was his brutal murder at the hands of the Joker. Jason's death had a profound and lasting impact on Batman, contributing to a darker and more brooding tone in the Batman comics for years to come. The failure to save Jason haunted the Dark Knight and became a defining moment in his long career. However, Jason's story was far from over. He was eventually resurrected, though the initial explanation was rather unconventional. It was attributed to the reality-altering punches of Superboy Prime during the Infinite Crisis event, which created ripples in space-time that somehow brought Jason back to life. Later, retcons would solidify his resurrection as being facilitated by the Lazarus Pit, a mystical pool known for its restorative properties, often associated with Ra's al Ghul. Upon his return, Jason didn't seek to reclaim the Robin mantle. Instead, he adopted the persona of the Red Hood, a violent anti-hero with a deep-seated anger towards Batman for not avenging his death. This transformation had a profound impact on the Batman mythos. The Red Hood challenged Batman's strict moral code against killing and introduced a compelling antagonist, or perhaps anti-hero, whose motivations were understandable even if his methods were extreme. The ideological conflict between Batman and the Red Hood became a central theme in their interactions, leading to the popular Under the Hood storyline and its acclaimed animated adaptation. While some fans viewed Jason's resurrection as undermining the impact of his initial death, it undeniably injected a new level of complexity and drama into the Batman universe, making him a major player to this day. Speeding into our number 6 spot is Barry Allen, the Silver Age Flash. His debut in Showcase number 4 in 1956 is widely credited with ushering in the Silver Age of comic books, revitalizing the superhero genre with a scientific and exciting new hero. Barry's adventures as the Scarlet Speedster captivated readers for decades. However, in the groundbreaking crossover event Crisis on Infinite Earths number 8, Barry Allen made the ultimate sacrifice, running faster than ever before to save the multiverse from destruction. His death was a monumental moment in DC Comics history, marking the end of an era and paving the way for his former sidekick, Wally West, to become the new Flash. For over 2 decades in comic book time, Barry Allen remained a fallen hero. Then, in 2009, Barry Allen made a triumphant return in the Jeff Johns penned miniseries The Flash: Rebirth. His resurrection from the Speed Force, the extra-dimensional energy source that grants speedsters their powers, was a major event that sent ripples throughout the DC universe. Barry's return not only re-established him as the primary Flash, but also led to significant revelations and storylines. Notably, the series revealed that Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, had been responsible for the murder of Barry's mother and the framing of his father, adding a new layer of tragedy and motivation to Barry's origin story. Furthermore, Barry's return had a direct impact on Wally West, who also eventually returned, albeit with some initial continuity complexities. Perhaps most significantly, Barry Allen's resurrection paved the way for the Flashpoint event in 2011, which drastically altered the DC universe and led to the New 52 reboot. Barry Allen's return demonstrated the power of bringing back a foundational character to revitalize a franchise and set the stage for major future developments. Charging into our number 5 spot is the Sentinel of Liberty himself, Captain America, Steve Rogers. Symbolizing the heart and soul of Marvel Comics, Captain America's unwavering moral compass and dedication to justice have made him an enduring icon for generations. Following the seismic events of the Civil War storyline, Captain America was seemingly assassinated in Captain America number 25. His death was a major news event within the comic book world, reflecting the character's importance and the impact of his loss on the Marvel Universe. However, Captain America's death wasn't the end of his legacy. His absence led to a significant development, the establishment of the idea that the mantle of Captain America could be passed down. First, his former sidekick Bucky Barnes took up the shield, followed later by Sam Wilson, formerly known as the Falcon. This period saw new and compelling stories exploring what it meant to be Captain America in a world without Steve Rogers. Eventually, Steve Rogers did return in the Captain America Reborn storyline. The explanation for his resurrection was complex, involving his soul being transported through time rather than a straightforward physical return. While his return, like many in comics, might have felt somewhat inevitable, Captain America's death and the subsequent passing of his mantle represent a significant shift in the status quo. It demonstrated that even the most iconic heroes can be replaced, leading to new narratives and perspectives within the Marvel Universe. Steve's eventual return allowed for further exploration of his character in a world that had moved on without him, highlighting the cyclical nature of major character fates in comics. Sliding into our number 4 spot is James Buchanan Bucky Barnes, Captain America's young sidekick from World War II. For decades, Bucky's death in a wartime explosion was a fixed point in Marvel Comics history. His demise was considered one of the few untouchable deaths in the superhero genre, a tragic loss that helped define Captain America's character and his motivations. The established narrative was that Bucky perished during a mission to stop Baron Zemo, caught in an explosion as Captain America fell into the icy waters that would preserve him until his revival in the Silver Age. However, in a stunning retcon that sent shockwaves through the Marvel Universe, Ed Brubaker's seminal run on Captain America revealed that Bucky had not died. Instead, he had been rescued by a Russian submarine, his left arm severed, but his body preserved by the cold. The Soviets then brainwashed him and fitted him with a bionic arm, transforming him into a deadly assassin known as the Winter Soldier. The revival of Bucky as the Winter Soldier was arguably the most impactful resurrection on this list. It not only brought back a beloved character, but also redefined him in a way that added immense depth and complexity to his narrative. The emotional impact on Captain America, facing his long-lost friend as a brainwashed enemy, created compelling storylines. The Winter Soldier himself became a major character, eventually even taking on the role of Captain America for a time. Furthermore, this storyline has had a significant influence on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, introducing the Winter Soldier to a global audience. Bucky's return broke a long-standing rule of comic book deaths and demonstrated the power of a well-executed retcon. Soaring into our number 3 spot is Jean Grey, a founding member of the X-Men and one of the most powerful telepaths in the Marvel Universe. Her connection to the Cosmic Phoenix Force has led to multiple deaths and resurrections, but it was her first transformation into the Phoenix and her subsequent death and return that truly changed history. During a mission in space, Jean was imbued with the Phoenix Force, unlocking immense psychic potential. This transformation led to incredible feats, but also to her corruption by the Dark Phoenix, a force of cosmic destruction. In a desperate act to save the universe from the Dark Phoenix's power, Jean seemingly sacrificed herself at the climax of the iconic Dark Phoenix saga in X-Men number 137. This death was a monumental moment, marking the tragic end of a beloved character. However, years later in Fantastic Four in 1986, Jean Grey made a surprising return. The retcon revealed that the Phoenix Force had created a duplicate of Jean, which was the one who died, while the real Jean was in a healing cocoon at the bottom of the ocean. Jean's resurrection and her connection to the Phoenix Force have become intrinsically linked to her identity as a character. It significantly expanded Marvel's cosmic lore and the understanding of the Phoenix as a force of life and rebirth. However, it also began a pattern of Jean dying and returning multiple times, which has led to debates among fans about the impact of death in comics. Despite the controversies, Jean Grey's initial death and resurrection as Phoenix remain a pivotal moment in X-Men history, shaping her character and the broader mutant narrative. Landing at our number 2 spot is the Man of Steel himself, Superman. His death at the hands of the monstrous Doomsday in 1992 was an event that transcended transcended the comic book world, garnering unprecedented mainstream media attention. The image of Superman falling in battle became instantly iconic. The death of Superman's storyline captivated the world, with an entire issue dedicated to his fictional funeral. The loss of such a foundational and seemingly invincible hero had a profound impact on readers and the comic book industry. In the aftermath of Superman's death, 4 different individuals appeared, each claiming to be the Man of Steel in their own way. These included Superboy, Steel, the Eradicator, and the Cyborg Superman, creating a mystery and filling the void left by the original. Ultimately, Superman did return, weakened but alive, after being placed in a Kryptonian regeneration matrix in the Fortress of Solitude. His return, marked by his iconic black suit, was a major event, though some argue that it inadvertently started a trend of superhero deaths becoming less meaningful. Nevertheless, Superman's death and resurrection remain a landmark moment in comic book history, demonstrating the commercial power of such storylines and setting a precedent for the return of even the most iconic characters. And finally, taking the top spot on our list of the top 10 superhero resurrections that changed history is Clint Barton, the sharpshooting Avenger known as Hawkeye, for his transformation into Ronin. While Hawkeye had been a beloved member of the Avengers for years, it was his death and subsequent return that led to a significant and lasting change in his character and the broader Marvel universe. During the chaotic events of Avengers Disassembled, orchestrated by a mentally unstable Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye made a heroic sacrifice, destroying a Kree warship and seemingly perishing in the process. His death had a profound impact on the Avengers, contributing to their disbandment and setting the stage for major changes within the Marvel universe. Hawkeye was later resurrected by Scarlet Witch during the reality-altering House of M event. However, instead of immediately returning to his Hawkeye identity, Clint Barton chose a different path. He adopted the guise of Ronin, a masterless samurai, reflecting his feelings of being adrift and burdened by guilt after his resurrection. During his absence, the young Kate Bishop had taken up the mantle of Hawkeye, further solidifying Clint's decision to forge a new identity. Hawkeye's death was the catalyst for the House of M storyline, a massive event that reshaped the Marvel universe by drastically reducing the mutant population. His return as Ronin allowed for significant character development, exploring a darker and more complex side of the skilled archer. It also paved the way for Kate Bishop to become a beloved hero in her own right, carrying on the Hawkeye legacy. The Ronin persona even made a significant impact in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For all these reasons, Hawkeye's death and transformation into Ronin stands as the most impactful superhero resurrection in comic book history. So there you have it, the top 10 superhero resurrections that shook the comic book world. But surviving death is one thing, surviving the apocalypse is a whole other ball game. If you're curious which of your favorite heroes have the grit and powers to make it through the end of days, don't just sit there. Click the video on the screen now to watch my previous video, Top 10 Superheroes Who Could Survive the Apocalypse, and find out who's truly built for the ultimate survival test. You won't want to miss it.